Hatcher. It remains a very, very good FA Cup final. And Hatcher! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sky Blue Transfer Talk. Yes, that's right. We're going to be talking about transfers in this segment. We're going to talk about goalkeepers and fullbacks. I have got guests with me backstage, which I'll introduce in a moment to talk about it as well. But just remember where you can find us. It is scrolling down at the tick app, but we are available on Twitter, X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We are available on YouTube. Please go and like and subscribe. We're sponsored by White Steel Fabrications. He can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. His logo is in the corner. We are partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena and the Sky Blue Tavern, where I am always pretty much nowadays set. I am in the manager's office. If you've ever been in the manager's office before, that's where I am. And we also, in association with Sports Social Network and also associated with Coventry Ladies. It's getting to be a real mouthful now. I'm going to have to start missing a few people out, I think, because I think people know now. But while I can, I will say it. So we are available on podcasts as well for anyone that listens to us rather than watches us as well. So without further ado, let me bring my guests in. So the first guest I will bring in is going to be Glenn. Good evening, Glenn. You okay?
I'm all right, Stuart. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Obviously, we won't talk too much about transfers now, but are you excited about your homework that I set you?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I know me and Cam have had a few similarities, and it's quite ironic when you look at some people on Twitter who do like their own analysis pieces, and you see the names that you've selected pop up. So yeah, it is. It'll be interesting to see which names we'll come up with. And I know there's one name that you're going to definitely go about when I say his name.
Right. Okay.
You're not his biggest fan. You're not his biggest fan. So
God.
we'll see.
All right. Okay, we'll see then. You've mentioned him already, but let's bring in Cam. Good evening, Cameron. You okay?
Yep, I'm not too bad, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Sorry, my phone's going off. That's very unprofessional. So, yes, not too bad, Cameron. Are you excited about this segment? Because we know that you love transfers. Obviously, on our Twitter space on a Sunday night, you normally do the loan watch for us. Are you excited about this part?
I am. I really am. I love it. Like new faces coming in, old faces going out. It's just refreshing, and it's just a fresh excitement. New players, old players coming out. It's so exciting. It's hard not to be excited.
It is indeed. And thank you very much for everything that you do for us on our channel as well in terms of the loan watch and stuff. So hopefully we can continue that next season when obviously the fixtures come out on Thursday. So are you both excited about the fixtures coming out as well?
Yeah, very.
Yeah, just hope we get a decent team first up. So.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want a home tie first or do you want an away side?
I think I want a home, yeah.
Home, Cam?
Yeah. I'd like a home.
Yeah. Home tie, definitely home game, Wimby opening day, lay down a marker for the rest of the season.
Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. A lot of optimism there, which is good. Right. So without further ado, obviously we are here to talk about transfers. I set you two goals to give me three names each in terms of transfers that you want to bring or you would like us to bring in. But before we talk about the transfers, we'll talk about the current crop that we have as well, because I think that's only rightly fair that we do so. So obviously we're going to talk about goalkeepers. So we've got three goalkeepers, and in an unusual season, we actually used all three. So I'll go to you first, Cam. Brad Collins hasn't had the best of time at Coventry, let's say. He's had some good performances and he's had some absolute stinkers. Obviously, he ended up, not. Oliver Dovin came in after his injury, and then obviously we went with Wilson once he had another howler. How are you feeling about Brad Collins? Do you think it's time for him to move on a little bit? Obviously, I've set you another challenge as well at the end, but do you think it's time for him to move on?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think so. I think when Ollie Dovin got injured, it was his second chance, because I remember he previously dropped after a series of clangers against Portsmouth. That was his second chance. I think he started okay, but then the horrible habits started to come back game after game after game. And I think Luton, it was just the final straw, because that howler could have had really, really big consequences. If he is indeed moved on, which is possible, could be hard because he also has a year left. So whether it's a permanent transfer a year early or a loan out until he's let go, I wish him well. It's just, unfortunately, I don't think Coventry has been a good home for him, and I think it's time to move on.
Okay, Glenn, obviously, Cam's alluded to that he's got 1 year left on his current deal. With the form that he was in, it's kind of hard to see anybody really picking him up, isn't it?
It is, but then did we think anyone would have taken Simon Moore when they did? So, yeah, it's a hard one. I think I look at it that the slate's wiped clean for everyone in pre-season. I think you give everyone a fresh start, and you don't know what will happen. But yeah, I think Collins, yeah, he went through a Simon Moore style lapse, and yeah, it was sad to see, because I don't think it was a lack of a lack of effort. I think he was almost trying too hard to do stuff. I think the Luton one, It was a case of he was thinking, if I come out and get it, I can clear it up the field and we can break away. And he's like, you didn't need to come there. So yeah, I think unfortunately he's going to go. Probably maybe a third choice, maybe a Premier League club, like some of the others.
Really?
Well,
that
I think
high? Premier? Come on.
Someone might take him. I mean, his experience. I mean, he's probably not gonna play. I mean, there's some absolute random people who've got gigs in the Premier League, but I don't see him going anywhere where he's going to be a first choice starter. You know what I mean? I don't see clubs like that. So I think maybe that is the only thing, or somebody who's had him before, who's managed him previously in his career, takes him back. But yeah, I think if he's going to go, he'll go League One, maybe League Two, but then he'll probably be on a decent salary, so we might be stuck with him. But
well, yeah, there is that.
That's
as
the
well.
problem.
Yeah, it is hard to kind of get rid of a player that's on probably okay wages, especially to go down to a League One, League Two side with that wage. I think it may be a case that they come up with a deal that, they give him a little bit of a package as a good buy, and then that might be able to lower his wages at a different club. Different things like that happen, doesn't it, in the transfer market and stuff. So again, we'll just have to wait and see. So moving on to Oliver Dovin then. Obviously, he came in with great signs. He got a little bit of an injury, came back in, and he was an absolute world beater, and you can see why he was going to be number one. But then he got that silly injury, and it winds me up a little bit, because I could see that injury coming in pretty much every game. And it just happened that it was Sheffield United with a striker that closes you down, and he just took that little bit too long, tried to do something clever, and he had that injury. And obviously it's put him out now, for pretty much the rest of this season as well, in my view. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a minute as well. How do you feel about Oliver Dovin going forward, Glenn?
Really positive. Really like his performances. I think he had more good games than he had bad games for us, and he was really starting to come into his own. I mean, that performance against Leeds at home, I mean, he stopped it being a cricket score. And I mean, I know he was at fault probably for the second goal, but I mean, some of his saves he pulled out, and you do wonder would he have saved probably at least one of Sunderland's goals in the playoffs? Would he have been further out and maybe closed my ender down better than Wilson did? You're never going to know, but I hope for his sake he comes back well from the ACL, because it must be hard. Obviously it's his big move. He's got an injury, and yeah, it's probably the worst injury you can get, and it's quite a lonely recovery time from ACL. But yeah, he's my number one as soon as he's fit and he's got games behind him. But yeah, you're right. How long he takes him to recover, I genuinely don't know. And yeah, that's a worry with goalkeeper, because you are more twisting and turning and stuff. So yeah, I don't know that many goalkeepers who've had ACL injuries, unfortunately.
No. Cam, how are you feeling about Oliver Dovin?
Yeah, I think he was really coming to his own. I think he was really impressive. I think what stands out to me was that Blackburn performance, because he was possessed that day. I'm convinced he was possessed that day, because we won the game 2-0, but Blackburn could have easily won that 6-2, and I'm not even joking. First half now they battered us, but he stopped everything. Yeah. It was the injury, really bad timing. He was really coming to his own. He was cementing himself as one of the Championship's top keepers. He just broke into the Sweden squad. Although he didn't play, he was in the senior team again. He probably would have had more senior call-ups. So yeah, it's bad timing, and hopefully he has a fast recovery, because I think I don't really know how goalkeepers generally recover from ACL injuries, but I do think he'll come back stronger, and hopefully he does.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously, we've got Ben Wilson as well, because we have got 3 goalkeepers. Ben Wilson had a little bit of an indifferent season, couldn't quite get into the side because of Dovin, because of Collins. Obviously, when Dovin got the injury, they were both warming up. We thought Wilson was going to come on. He didn't. It was Bradley Collins. And I was slightly disappointed that he didn't come on, because if he wasn't fit enough, for me, don't have him on the bench. How did you feel about that, Cam? Was you happy with Collins coming on instead of Wilson? How do you feel about Wilson, probably being maybe even first choice next year, if Dovin will be out until Christmas at least?
But Ben Wilson, great servant, even better person. If he's the first choice going into the opening day, I'm not sure I'd be happy. As much as I love Ben, I do think we are going to need a goalkeeper, at least on a short-term basis, which obviously we'll get to. But as a number 2 or even a third choice, I think he's a great asset to have. I think with Collins clearly wants to be a number 1 somewhere. That's just not going to happen here. So if we can't move, whereas I think Wilson is a lot more happier as a number 2, because he's one of the more senior figures in the dressing room. He's great for dressing room morale. I think if you keep one of them, it's obviously Wilson you keep. So I'm happy with Wilson staying if he's the second or third choice goalkeeper.
Okay, fair enough. Glenn, are you in an agreement with Cam about that?
If he starts the first game, it's not an issue for me. I think you saw in the 3 playoff games the good, the bad of him. I think obviously he was really good against Borough, which got us into the playoffs. I think maybe he could have done better with the 2 Sunderland goals. And I thought in the away leg he pulled out a couple of cracking saves. So yeah, and he's a good character, and like Cam said, he's someone who is kind of a career number 2. So I think he's happy being a number 2. He's a good character. You mean he can stay at Cough for as long as I like, really. But yeah, I do think he needs someone that's gonna push him, and yeah, I don't think Luke Bowell's ready yet. So I do think we need somebody else. But you know what, Ben Wilson, whatever position he's gonna do, he never lets us down. He pulls some really good performances last season, and he looked like he was getting back to the level that he had around the Golden Glove season. So yeah, I genuinely, like I say, nice bloke, good character. You can tell City and scene, everyone likes him. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's happy to be here, and yeah, whatever role he's asked to do, he'll do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do like Wilson. I think you're right. I think he is a number 2 goalkeeper. We haven't mentioned Luke Bell in this, because obviously he's just been kept on from the youth side, the under-21s. So we don't know how much we're actually going to see of him really. We didn't really see much last year either. He was on the bench a couple of times due to, places available, I suppose, really. So before we go into the transfers, go on, sorry.
Sorry, Stu. About Luke Bell, I think we make the decision. We either loan him out for a season to a good level and get him good experience, or he gets the League Cup game for us and we give him a little taste of first team experience, provided obviously we're not throwing him in against a Premier League side or something like that. Because I do generally think he is a future Coventry City number one, and I'm sure Cam, who's probably seen a lot more of him, he's a really, really good goalkeeper. I just think he needs that experience.
He was very impressive on loan at Gloucester. He looked a level above the league he was playing in.
Nice. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, both, for that one. So before we go into the transfers, I just want you to say keep, sell, or hold. I think I know the answers, to be fair. So first of all, I'll go to Glenn. Dovin, keep, loan, or sell?
Keep.
Cam?
Keep.
Ben Wilson, Cam?
Keep.
Glenn?
Keep.
Bradley Collins, Glenn?
Ship out to wherever we'll take him, Saudi, MLS, whatever. No, in all seriousness, you know what I mean? He gets a chance in pre-season and we'll take it from there.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Cam?
Yeah, he's got to go. Sell if anyone's crazy enough to buy him.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so on to the transfers then. So the way that I've done my my transfers is I've got one loan, one free transfer, and one transfer that we have to spend money on, basically a purchase, if you like. Actually, I've just thought of a question as well before we go on to that. In regards to the goalkeeping situation, do we get a loan in until Dovin's back, or do we go and get a number one goalkeeper? I'll go to Glenn first.
It's tough because I don't know whether we'll get better than Dovin without paying a lot of money. I would personally favour a loan, but I wouldn't be adverse if there is a good goalkeeper available at the right price. That I would do. I'd make the deal and let the best one fight it out ultimately.
Yeah, Cam.
Preferably a short-term loan, because it'd feel very harsh to bring in a number one who could potentially permanently make Dovin a number two. However, I am open-minded because at the end of the day, if that's what we have to do to make the team better, that's what we'll do. I don't think we'll need to, but I'm honestly open-minded whether it's a loan, a new permanent number one, or maybe an experienced head who's going to be a short-term number one and slots in as a number two and Dovin's back. I'm really open-minded.
Yeah, me personally, like I said, for my opinion, I think we get a new number one because it's going to be Christmas at least before he's back. We don't know if he's going to be back straight away. We don't know if he could be out for the whole season. And yes, it will be like having a new goalkeeper the following year if he is back. My worry is if we risk only having a short-term loan in or a loan goalkeeper, he's going to be gone at the end of next year. And I just feel that we should be a side that can't worry about that position. You know, if it ends up that the current goalkeeper gets injured and Dovin's fit, then he takes his chance and they fight it out amongst themselves. But me personally, I want a number one goalkeeper because we don't know, one, when he's going to be back. Two, if he's going to come back the same Dovin, because we just don't know that. And I would rather take that risk away and have a permanent goalkeeper now and let them fight it out when they're both fit and available whenever Dovin is available. That's my view. So, on that note, let's go to the transfers, what we're here for, really. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to do my loan one first. So I've actually got two. I've cheated a little bit. I've got two, right, for my loans. Because my first one that I actually chose has just ended up going to Man City, which was Marcus Bellatelli. So I've had to forget that one because it's already been sold somewhere. So my next one is another loan signing, Brandon Austin from Spurs. He's 26. He has had Premier League experience, and there's high hopes riding on that. Obviously, Thomas Frank's just gone in there. He might want to get a loan out somewhere, and it might be the perfect opportunity to come into, a playoff title, hopefully, at least a minimum playoff side, to gain that experience at a good championship club playing at a decent level. How do you feel about Brandon Austin, Glenn?
I think he got man of the match for Spurs against Newcastle, didn't he, on his debut?
Yeah, he did.
I think.
Yeah, he did.
I'm sure he did. Even though they lost, he got
man
of the match.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
I don't know. I know, obviously, Frank is quite pally with Thomas Frank because I know he'd been and watched Brentford training a few times. So, yeah, obviously, it's just how much experience he's got. I think maybe there are other names that we'll cover that have got a bit more first-team experience.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's Cam?
Brandon Austin. I believe he's been like a number 2 or number 3 for Spurs for quite some time. He's done well there, been very useful for Spurs. I can see why he's suggesting, because I think it's probably the time where he'll want a loan where he can play the week. So yeah, I do like the shout.
Okay, excellent. Right, Glenn, let's go to your first transfer. Is it a loan? Is it a free transfer? Or is it a purchase?
It would be a purchase. So
Okay.
It is a goalkeeper who is currently playing in Sweden for a team called GIAS. I don't know how you say that, but whatever, that's the name of him. His name is Keith Sims. So he's a New Zealand youth goalkeeper, and he has played for them at the Olympics, and he's been playing over in Sweden for around the last 3 years. He actually was over in the UK earlier this year in January time, and apparently he was on trial at Cov. Also, I think he was on trial at Leicester and a few other teams. The problem is he's signed a new deal, so he's under contract that's to them till 2028. But he's only 22. I think he's originally from England, or he's got relations in England. And obviously we've seen how Dovin panned out. Dovin worked out quite well. I don't think you're going to pay a stupid fee for him, even though his contract's quite long. And yeah, I think he is somebody who definitely seems to be on Cov's radar. So yeah, I think he may well come in and be the number 2 option for Dovin, and we'll have 2 20-somethings battling it out in the next couple of seasons. Okay,
nice, Cam. I would imagine you've heard of him because you scour the internet for transfers, don't you, mate?
Yeah, I've heard that name before. Quite a good talent, quite young. I agree with Glenn in the sense that I don't think he'd be a long-term number 1. I think there'd be more work to be done, but still very young, could still improve. And as a number 2 for Dovin in the long term, yeah, I like it. Good shout.
Okay, I haven't heard of him, so I'll just put that out there now. So I'll take it that you two know what you're talking about. Well, Cam does at least. So Cam, your first transfer.
My first one, it is a purchase, but an expensive purchase. It's Sam Tickle from Wigan Athletic. He spent a fair few seasons in League One. Last season, although Wigan had a pretty difficult year, he had a very impressive year. 18 clean sheets in 46 matches, only conceded 42 goals, 4.77 goals prevented. He is still only 23 years of age, so still pretty young in this game. Would Dovin be impressed by it? No, probably not, because I think his place would be under threat. I think the key difference is I think Tickle's probably a better shot stopper than Dobbin, just slightly, whereas I think Dobbin's a better distributor. But I do think they'd bounce off each other really well once Dobbin was back. I think Tickle is someone who deserves to be in the Championship at this point in his career. He's been brilliant.
Okay. Excellent. And you've annoyed me slightly because that was my purchase. That was my number 3 option, was Sam Tickle. And you're exactly right. You know, I looked at his penalty saves as well. He's 50% on his penalty saves, so he can save a penalty as well. Considering that Wigan finished 15th in the league, I think it was, he conceded 42 goals. He got 18 clean sheets. They actually, Stockport finished 3rd, and they conceded the same amount of goals as Wigan did. So, you know, I think Sam Tickle is a great shout, and that's my purchase. And that's who I would probably go for a new number 1, if I'm honest, if I was going to go down that option. So thank you very much, Cam, for taking one of my transfers. It's fine. It's all good.
You're welcome.
You voted. Thank you. Right. So let's go to your second purchase then, Cam.
Oh, my second one. This one is a loan. He's actually from Tottenham himself. Josh Keeley. He was at Leyton Orient last season. He played 39 games and he kept an impressive 16 clean sheets, as well as like a goals prevented stats of like something 9.72, which was crazy because Orient, they were quite open, but he prevented a lot of goals in what was a brilliant season for Leyton Orient. They were just one game away from being promoted to the Championship. He's a Republic of Ireland youth international. I think one day he'll be playing for the senior side. I think he'd be a very good loan option. And I think with it being Tottenham, it'd be an initial 6 months, sure, because Dobbin could be back by then. But I think with it being Tottenham, there'd always be a window to extend it for the rest of the season. So I think that would give us that flexibility if we needed to do that.
Okay. Nice. Have you heard of him, Glenn? Because I haven't.
Yeah. He scored a goal, didn't he, in the FA Cup? Was it an equaliser? And then he saved some in the penalty shootout, I think. But yeah, I remember seeing him play against Man City. So yeah, I think he got called up for Ireland as well recently. So yeah.
Nice. Excellent. Glenn, your second one?
I've got 2, but they're 2 like polar opposites as a permanent. I've got Daniel Bentley, who's at Wolves, who's like the experienced pro, who's kind of hardly played, but obviously was at Bristol City, who probably would be available now. And then the polar opposite is Pierce Charles, the young Northern Irish goalkeeper, who's at Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, they've got money trouble. He's a really, really good footballing goalkeeper, as you'd see from obviously being at Man City, I think, as a youth level. Obviously, Cobb's seen a bit of him because he made his debut against us in the FA Cup a couple of seasons back. And he has played really well the games I've seen for Northern Ireland. But yeah, I think they're like 2 that I can make an argument for both, and I wanted to keep Malone in as well. But yeah, I think Bentley probably wouldn't cost that much. I think Charles probably would. You're probably looking at maybe 3 million, maybe more. Sheffield Wednesday would want to cash in on him, and this whole footballing goalkeeper would make him attractive. But yeah, they were the 2. I'd probably more now air to Bentley because I think he could do both roles. He could be a number 1 or a number 2. I mean, he was part of Bristol City, who were pretty much always top 10 Championship side, weren't they? You know what I mean?
Like it.
Good, solid pro.
Like it. Cam, what do you think to Charles?
Yeah, I think I've actually spoken to him a few times about with a few people. Very impressive talent. He's come in. I think last season Beadle had a dip in form, so he was dropped. He come in and he didn't really put a foot wrong. I don't think he got a clean sheet, but I think Sheffield Wednesday are quite leaky defensively, so that's not really on him. I think very young, promising talent, and with Wednesday's money problems, I think the Sharks are going to be circling for him.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think the whole Sheffield Wednesday club, I think there's going to be Sharks for everyone, to be fair. So yeah, I think you're right on that one. I like him a lot. I do think he is a good talent as well. So obviously I did have 3, but Cam's taken 1. So I'm going to go on to my second one, my loan. My free transfer. So my free transfer is actually Matt Ryan. So he's still only 33 years of age. He's on loan to Valencia, I believe, from Rennes. And his contract runs out the 30th of June this year. So he's available on a free transfer. He's got experience in the Premier League, got experience abroad. You know, is an Australian international. I just think he's a good goalkeeper all around. And again, I think he could be a good number one. Maybe if Dovin comes back early enough and we see the Dovin that we know and love, you know, Matt Ryan could potentially help coach him and become maybe a good number two behind Dovin as well. So he's got that option as well. What do you think to Matt Ryan, Cameron?
I think it's a great suggestion. Before we signed Dovin, Matt Ryan was actually somebody I was looking at because I believe he was with, I'm trying to think, what was it, AZ Alkmaar or Utrecht, but I know it was the Eredivisie, and he played a big part in their success that year. Very, very well travelled. He played for a lot of big teams across Europe, Australia international. I think it offers a lot. Question is how much wages would he command? But yeah, I think we could come to an agreement, and I think it's an excellent suggestion because even when Dovin comes back, Dovin would have his work out. This is a high caliber goalkeeper we're talking.
Yeah, definitely, totally agree. Glenn.
Yeah, I do see the logic in that. A 30-something. I think there's a few, and I think Begovic has left Everton. I mean, he's quite experienced. I do see the logic of someone like that coming in, and they can kind of do both roles, can't they, really?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, your last one then, Glenn.
I've had to go for two because the one that I've picked, and Cam knows...
You've done about six, haven't you?
Well, me and Cam had the same one, and we do really like the lad. But I think he's going to go to Huddersfield. His name's Owen Goodman. He was at AFC Wimbledon on loan from Crystal Palace. He was also at Colchester United, but it looks like Huddersfield are going to get him. So due to that, I've ruled him out, and I'm going to go for another Crystal Palace goalkeeper, whose name is Joe Whitworth, who's played for Exeter for the last 2 seasons. He's actually played in the Premier League for Crystal Palace. I think he played against Brighton. And he's involved with the England youth setup. But yeah, he's played 2 years at Exeter. He played in their FA Cup run. He was really, really good in the tie against Nottingham Forest, which went to penalties when they were down to 10 men, I think. So yeah, he's someone who I think would naturally, and he's not a rookie for a 19-year-old goalkeeper. I think he's got like 70, 80 odd, maybe more games under his belt, which is really good for someone at that age. And you're not going to pull a Premier League academy goalkeeper out who's got that level of experience. So yeah, Joe Whitworth would be my pick because Goodman's unfortunately going elsewhere.
Nice. Okay, Cam, do you like Whitworth?
Yeah. From what I've seen, he's looked impressive. I would have preferred Goodman personally because I think when you get 24 clean sheets in a season, even if it is 2 leagues below, that's always going to get my interest because that's like over a 50% success rate. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Whitworth, it's definitely a good suggestion, though. He's got a bright future in this game too.
Excellent. Your third one then, Cam.
I am going for experience like yourself with Matt Ryan, but I'm going to go with Carl Darlow. He is at Leeds United. He's had like half of the career where he's been a number one, half of it where he's been a number two. He's a Wales international. He's played like over 250 games. I think he could easily come here. I think with him being in like mid-30s, it'd probably be a nominal fee, maybe even a free if Leeds were willing to let him go early. I think Leeds are actively on the hunt for a new goalkeeper because Meslier's struggled for years. Darlow, while he's done well deputising, he's probably not a number one goalkeeper for a Premier League side anymore at this stage. Yeah. So I think he could be a great option. I think experienced, would bring a lot of experience to the camp, and when Dovin comes back, I think he'd be an excellent mentor to him.
Like it. I actually 2 years ago when we did the same, I mentioned Carl Darlow then before he went to Leeds, and I think it's a great shout that is hopefully maybe an option, because like you said, I think he could be a great number one, and he can do a job. And then Dovin comes back, and then again they fight it out. And if Dovin wins, like I said, if Dovin comes back, the Dovin that we know and love, then I think he could be another good number two to have on that bench and experience as well. What do you think to Karl Darlow, Glenn?
Yeah, he's kind of had a bit of a renaissance in his career. He's obviously got picked by Bellamy for Wales, which was quite surprising when he wasn't actually playing for Leeds. And then he got back in the Leeds side and obviously got promoted. So, yeah, but I do think Leeds will obviously kick on and look for other options. So, yeah, there's obviously quite a few experienced, like, number two-ish goalkeepers. As long as we stay well clear of Danny Ward. I don't want Danny Ward. Danny Ward, no.
I second that.
I third it.
Danny Ward makes Brad Collins look good. Or actually, the other name I was going to pick, I don't know whether you guys both seen it, was the Spanish under-21 goalkeeper, and he had an absolute stinker against England in the under-21 quarter-final.
No, yeah, I didn't watch it.
He was awful. He gave a penalty away. He was at fault for the second goal, and I was like, oh, he's at Atletico Madrid. He looks quite good, but yeah, no, he was. No,
reverse psychology don't always work.
No, that's right. Right, so we'll move on to left backs first, because I think this will be the quickest one that we probably go through, to be fair. So, obviously, we have just signed a left back, so that would indicate that one of them would go. So, obviously, we had Bidwell and we've got Jay Da Silva. Both of them have had in different seasons. Jay didn't quite start off very well. Bidwell probably didn't have the best of starts either, so they were mixing and matching. But towards the end, I think Da Silva came into his own. You know, the few couple of games before the playoffs, he was absolutely brilliant. He was winning every tackle. He was pretty much winning every header. And people, we know that people target him because of his height or his lack of height anyway. But he was winning everything, and he was getting in front of the forward line, and he was going forward and putting good crosses over. And Bidwell was kind of in his shadow. And again, he got another call up for Wales as well within that period. So is it Da Silva's shirt to lose? Does Bidwell go? And obviously our new signing, Angel Brau, I can't pronounce his name. I'm going to say Brau, but I don't think it is. Brau. You know, does Brau have to fight for that shirt in pre-season? Because he comes in with good pedigree on a free transfer from Granada. Obviously, we know we've signed him, but he officially signs the 1st of July. Do you think it's Da Silva's to lose? Do you think Bidwell goes? I'll go to you first, Glenn.
I think definitely Da Silva has earned a crack at it with his performances. I think we saw a really, really good player. I think we saw that cross he put in for Wales for their goal against Liechtenstein, and you're thinking, I want to see you doing that for Cov with Ellis Sims on the end of it, or somebody else. So definitely I do. I don't think, like everyone else does, think it's the end of Bidwell. I think with Brau, I think we give him a settling in period. I think we don't rush him in. I listened to the Fancast last night, BBC CWR, and they had a piece with the Spanish expert, and he said Brau only really got into the Granada team like this season, really, as a regular due to an injury. Then he got injured again, and I think maybe we give him time to develop. And Bidwell, you know what, Bidwell and Da Silva, I think they're both at a stage where they're never going to let you down. I think Bidwell, very similar to like Ben Wilson, I think he's a good character to have around, and I wouldn't be rushing either of them in terms of Da Silva or Bidwell out the door. And I think Brau gets a bit of time to develop rather than sink or swim. Because I know what will happen. We'll bomb out Bidwell, and Da Silva or Brau will get injured long term, and then we haven't really got a left back.
So do you think we start with the three left backs then?
Yeah, I think because Bidwell
Yeah.
can cover centre half as well, and yeah, I wouldn't be adverse to getting rid of him unless we get a stupid offer for De Silva or Bidwell, which is money we can't turn down. I'd keep him and give Brow a bit of time to develop,
Okay.
and as a
Cam?
long-term project.
Okay, Cameron, how do you feel?
I think in regards to that, I think my initial thought is it could be the end of Jake Bidwell as a Coventry player, which I have mixed feelings about. It's sad because I think since he's come, he's been a very, very good servant at the club, and I think he's helped in some like really good moments. But I think it's just a case where, as a football club, there comes a time where you've got to evolve, you've got to adapt, and sometimes that means favourites of the club leave. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to leave, but if everything goes as I expect it to over the pre-season period, Bidwell's probably going to be third choice. And is someone like Jake Bidwell going to be happy with that when I think he would feel that he could still offer a lot to another Championship side? So I think he might go because I don't think we'd stand in his way.
Okay, fair enough. Do you think there's an option or a scenario where we keep Jake Bidwell, but we cash in on De Silva? Because we've got, De Silva's form was good at the end of the season, and he plays for Wales, so we can potentially get a little bit more money than we might have done. I'm not saying this is going to happen, or I'm not saying that I want it to happen. But do you think that's an option, that we might get rid of De Silva because we can get that little bit more money for him, and we've just signed Brow on a free transfer, and keep Bidwell and have Brow and Bidwell fighting it out? I
personally don't think so. I think De Silva, he ended the season really, really strongly. He's just got back in the Wales side. He might continue to stay in the Wales side if he keeps his form. I think the fact that he ended the season in good form, he's going to be in really good spirits. And for all we know, although there's like hype around Brow because he had this impressive campaign in Spain, De Silva is going to feel that left back spot is still his to lose. So I think he'll be determined to still be the number one in August. So I'm excited to see that pan out.
Okay, fair enough. Glenn, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think if Bidwell, I don't think De Silva, unless, like I say, we get a silly offer. I think Bidwell, if he goes, it might be like transfer deadline day. I think I would keep him till we're into the season, just in case we get any injuries picked up. So, but I think the weird thing with Brow is he seems to be kind of like a mix of Bidwell and De Silva. He seems to kind of have De Silva's attacking sense, but Bidwell's patience for collecting a yellow card and smashing people. So
well, that's the perfect player then, couldn't it?
Yeah,
perfect player.
Yeah. But my worry is if he smashes people in the Championship, knowing what Championship referees are like, that he might turn into how Gus was at the start of his Coventry spell, where he's getting yellow cards like confetti.
Maybe. We will see. Right, on to the first transfer then. We'll go to Cameron first this time. Give us your first left back, Cam.
My first left back is Owen Beck from Liverpool on loan. He was at Blackburn last year. I believe he played 24 times, got a singular goal. Before that, he had a really impressive campaign at Dundee. I think with it being his second season in the Championship, if he would have come here, I think he'd be even better than he was last season, and he'd potentially provide competition. Obviously, this is dependent if say De Silva goes in your scenario, maybe we bring in an Owen Beck, and I think whoever gets Owen Beck is going to get a really, really, really good left back next season.
Okay, fair enough. Glenn, what do you think to Owen Beck?
I think good shout, but I believe he's on his way to Hull City, apparently. So Ant, the Hull fan, was telling me, and I think if he doesn't go to Hull, Wrexham have already put their interest in for him, obviously with being a Welsh club. I think he was
born in Wrexham, weren't he?
Yeah, I think pretty much every Championship club worth the salt of looking. I think there was rumours that Sheffield United were looking at him. So yeah, he'll be someone who's definitely on the radar for everyone.
Okay, your first one then, Glenn.
My first one is I've kind of gone a bit left field because I'm looking at people who can play left back but also can play other positions. So there is a lad who Cam will know a bit about. There is Danny Armstrong, who plays for Kilmarnock. He is actually left-footed, I believe, but he plays left wing back, can play right wing back, can play winger, but his assists and goals record up there for pretty much an average Kilmarnock side is pretty decent, and he can play. Obviously, got lots of different positions, and he's good with set pieces, which is somewhere where I think obviously if we're going to have Rudoni on the end of corners and free kicks, we need someone who's better delivery. I don't think Grimes has been great with the delivery, and some of the other set pieces weren't great. So, and obviously Kilmarnock could change manager as well, so he may well be available. So yeah, he would be someone I would look at. But yeah, I've not gone for an out and out left back, but kind of someone I think will fill a few roles, but also be a backup option if we need it.
Nice. Okay, what do you think to that one, Cam?
Yeah, but that's a name I've heard of because all the way back in 2018, he was actually a trialist at Coventry.
Oh, okay.
When we just got promoted to League One, he was a trialist. We didn't give him a contract, but he's not let that affect him. He's gone on to be very successful in Scotland with Raith Rovers and then Kilmarnock. He's left Kilmarnock. I think it's a good option. Do I think he comes to England, Mo? I don't think so. I reckon he'll stay in Scotland because you've got Derek McInnes, who is the Kilmarnock manager, has left to take up a Hearts role. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up joining McInnes at Hearts.
Nice. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to do my first one, and my first one is going to be the loan signing again. And I'm going to hate to say this because of the club that he actually plays for, but I'm going to go for Harry Mass at Man United. He has played in the Premier League and he has played in Europe. They're expecting big things from him. But I think his game time might be limited the way that Amorim wants to play. So I think that could be somewhere that we might be able to utilise just the fact that he might not play that much. It might be a case that it's only a 6-month loan, maybe, hopefully this season. But yeah, he's got Premier League experience and he's got Europa League experience, and high things are expected. So do you think that's somebody that could come in, Glenn, and do a job at left back to help us cover?
Yeah, good prospect. Yeah, no harm in getting a Premier League loanee for Man United. And yeah, I think he was quite good in their FA Cup youth side. I think went on a good run. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think he'll be on the radar of like Becker's of a lot of Championship clubs. Yeah.
Cam, what do you think to Harry Mass?
Yeah, he's somebody I'll take. Because I think Man United have struggled in recent years, but looking at the players that have left Man United and gone to do very well, he'd probably end up doing really well here too. But in all seriousness, young talent, potential, no fear really, because he'd be going to the Championship with a team with big ambitions. So yeah, potentially, yeah, that could work.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to do my next one then. This is just in case anybody sneaks in with the same player this time. I'm going to get one in first. So my free transfer, he's just left Newcastle. He has been linked. I think that the fact that Sheffield Wednesday have got transfer bans and can only get free transfers and loan signings for the next 3 transfers. Hopefully we can sneak in with this one. Jamal Lewis, he was at Newcastle. He's still only 27. He went from Norwich for a big fee, and he has been on loan to Watford and Sao Paulo as well. Again, like I said, he can play left midfield as well, so he can play probably that wing back role if we needed. I remember him being at Norwich, and I remember him being a really top talent. So hopefully, because his game time has been limited wherever he's gone to on loan as well, hopefully he's still got that in his locker. But I'm sure with a good pre-season, if we get him in early enough, he might be that player that we can see again and fight it out for that left back berth. You know, you never know. We might get rid of both. We might get rid of De Silva and Bidwell and have two brand new left backs. We just don't know. So, what do you think to Jamal Lewis, Cam?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I've heard of a name, but he's been quiet for a few years. So, although he's obviously not done much in terms of like rave reviews, he's someone with a pedigree, and I think potentially somebody who'd have a point to prove if he comes to Coventry. An ambitious manager like Fran Lampard, maybe it bring a spring. Maybe it could give him the spring that he needs in his step again.
Yeah, excellent, Glenn.
Yeah, international, experienced. Yeah, he definitely always impressed me when he played with Norwich, and I think he was a good goal threat as well.
Excellent. Glenn, your second one.
This is tough because I had a few and then I chopped and changed, and then Cam nicked one of mine for later on. So I am going to pick Harley Mills, who played for Peterborough.
Okay.
He plays left back. The name will ring a bell because he scored an absolute worldie of a free kick in the, whatever it was, the equivalent of the Checkatrade Trophy final against Birmingham, and is really good. And I think he is one that I would get in for now. Even if we pay for him and loan him back like we did EMC for a season, I think he's someone who will develop and is probably the next gem on the Peterborough machine that is coming through. And yeah, that's my pick. I think he might be related to, I know there's a Mills that's related to Danny Mills, but I'm not sure whether it's him or the lad who was at Oxford. I can't remember. But yeah, I really like him, and I think he's only going to improve for him. And yeah, he did it on the biggest stage against a very, very good Birmingham side who no one could lay a glove on, and he was pretty much really, really good that day. So yeah, he's someone I definitely like the look of.
How old is he, Glenn?
I think he's only 19. He might be 18, 19.
Okay. Excellent.
So let me have a look.
Cam, what do you think to him?
Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive talent who's come from that very long conveyor belt of talent that Peterborough produce.
Yep.
I agree in the sense that I think if he would have come here, I'm not sure if he would be an immediate starter. Maybe he would go back to Peterborough for another year. But in terms of long-term potential, yeah, I can see why he'd be a good fit.
Excellent. Okay, fair enough. Your third one, while Glenn's still getting the age up.
He's 19.
19. Okay, cool. Go on then, Cam. Sorry, mate.
My next one is Flavio Narzinho from Cercle Bruges. He's 21 years of age. He got 1 goal, 6 assists in 27 games last season. He is a graduate of the Sporting Club de Portugal Academy. Even played 11 times for them before he went to Cercle Bruges. He's a Portugal under-21 international. He's currently out with he's only just returning home with that Portugal squad because he was part of that Euro under-21 tournament until they unfortunately went out at the hands of the Netherlands. Very impressive. Potentially a good price on his head, and at the age of 21, there is a lot of potential in the young left back.
Excellent. Not heard of him personally, but I'll trust your judgment. Glenn, have you heard of him?
No, it's not one that I've heard of.
Okay.
So I don't know
Fair
anything.
enough.
But about to Cam's superior judgment.
Thank you.
Enough.
I appreciate your support.
Your third one then, Cam. Your third and last one for the left backs.
My third and last one for the left backs. He goes by the name of Derek Conn. He is at Galatasaray. He spent last season on loan at Werder Bremen. He played 27 times at Werder Bremen with 2 goals and 2 assists. We actually tried to sign him all the way back in 2022 when he was at Willem II in the Netherlands. He chose to go to Hanover instead. Since then, he was very successful there. He went to Galatasaray. I thought he did okay, but he just couldn't nail down the starting left back role. I thought he started well at Werder Bremen, but he couldn't end the season as the starter. So Werder Bremen, they chose not to trigger the €5 million option to buy him. So he's potentially available for purchase if price is right for Galatasaray.
Okay, again, not another one I've heard of. Glenn, have you heard of him?
Cam, was he the one who the picture was doing the rounds on? Was it the Bournemouth game where someone took a
Yes,
picture
that's
of
right.
Yeah, it was in the director's box, weren't it?
yeah.
And it all kicked
Yeah.
off. I remember it because some of the pictures
Yeah.
shouldn't have been sent round.
Yeah,
That was
And,
him.
Yeah.
That was him.
I thought the name rung a bell with me. Yeah, I do. I remember
Okay.
the name, and yeah. So,
I remember that incident, but I don't remember the name and stuff. So, right, your third and last one, then, Glenn.
It's a toss-up between two names again.
Which one is this? The one that I'm not going to like?
No, the right back's the one you're not going to like.
Is it the right
Which
back?
probably gives it away now on it. So I've got two names. I've got Matty Surinola, who has been at Plymouth. He was at Swansea. I think he's also ex-Villa. He can play right back or left back. And he's got a decent amount of championship experience. I'm obviously looking at the fact that we probably don't need a left back really, but having someone who can cover a couple positions is good. The other name that purely just on the stats is Anthony Driscoll Glennon, who plays for Newport County, and he was at Burnley and Grimsby, and he had a crazy amount of assists last season. I'm just going to pull it up. I think it was 11 or something, which for a left back is pretty impressive.
Okay.
So, but yeah, there was a couple more recognised left backs that I saw, but I kind of binned them off. Sorry, he got 9. So in his last 3 seasons, he's got 9 assists, 4 assists, and then 9 assists again, which I think for someone who plays left back, not a great standard. Left footed, he could obviously play a bit further forward. And so, yeah, he was the two. I kind of ruled out. I tried to not pick people that Cov had been linked with. Otherwise, we'd be talking about Kai Wagner and all the other ones.
Harry Toffolo and all of
Harry
them.
Toffolo, yeah, which I think that ship's quite often sailed.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I've tried to stay away from people that we've been linked with as well for that reason. Also. So my third one is the money one, is the purchase. Is in his last year of his contract at Bristol City. And it's Cameron Pring. He's 27. He's a steady player in the Championship. He's been in the Championship for a long, long time now. He played 32 games last year and got 3 assists. He's valued at €2.5 million, so that's 2.1 million. But because in his last year of his contract, we may be able to get him for slightly cheaper. Again, people, teams want to, not only keep assets, but they need to keep, the freshness. And, Cameron Pring's been there a while. So there may be an option that we could look at Cameron Pring as well. How do you feel about Cameron Pring, Glenn?
He signed a new deal, so he's there for another.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, because it was somebody actually I looked at when I was looking at teams around there, because I was thinking, who can we I was looking at top 10 sides. I'm thinking, who can we look at? But he was someone I looked at because I thought Bristol City might get asset strip, but no, he signed a new deal. I think it's 22nd of May. So yeah, he signed it. It would have been not that long before just after the playoffs, wouldn't it?
Okay.
So,
I honestly didn't see that. I thought he would still only had 1 year left on his deal. So my apologies. That's another one that's gone absolutely tits up for me. So thanks for that, Glenn. That's all right. That's okay. How did you feel about Cameron Pring, Cam?
If I remember correctly, he was actually the reason why Jay Silva ended up leaving Bristol City in order to join Coventry, because he took Jay Silva's place.
Yeah, he did. You're right. Yeah.
So I think Jay Silva will be getting flashbacks if he ended up signing for us.
Fair enough. Right.
You know what?
So, go on.
I'm surprised none of us have mentioned this name, Alfie Doherty at Luton. I'm surprised. I honestly thought one of us would have mentioned him.
Well, I think we haven't mentioned him. I haven't mentioned him because we have been slightly linked with him.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly. And that's why I was trying to stay away from, people that we've been linked with already, really. So that's the only reason why I haven't mentioned him. So right backs. If I'm honest, again, there's not much to say about right backs because we've got one it's Milan. And he has been absolutely, say he's been absolutely awesome would be wrong because he hasn't. He has been up and down, but, and he, again, I don't want to say that he cost us in that first leg, but he kind of did with the bad pass, whether it was down to him only or whether it was down to the goalkeeper as well. That's for your own interpretation, I suppose. I was going to include Lati, Joel Latibeaudiere, in that option as well, but he didn't really play that much at right back. He was more of a centre back when he did play. So I'm going to leave Lati for the centre back discussion. So Milan, the only real thing that I can say about Milan is, or ask, is does he stay or does he go? I'll come to you first, Glenn.
I don't know, because this is the thing. He keeps getting linked with these Premier League clubs like Everton and like rumours Fulham, yeah. And then I hear that they're going to go and sign other players. Like I hear Fulham have looked at the ex-QPR lad. I think it's Bright Samuel. They've been linked with him. I hear that Everton have been linked with Kyle Walker. And then obviously Tete, I think, who's at Fulham. So yeah, I do think if he goes, I wonder if he just go back to Holland or somewhere abroad. I would like him to have at least one last game at the CBS before he goes to, because I don't want my last memory of him at the CBS being him in tears after that mistake. And I thought his performance in the second leg was absolutely superb. And yeah, it would be a shame. But I think now that Trey Hume has got promoted and Bogle's got promoted, he is definitely the best right back in the Championship. Milan is by far. But he just needs someone who's going to push him. And we can't flog him. And we don't want to run the risk of him breaking down with an injury. And he's played too much football for us over the last few years.
Okay.
Without a proper break.
Yeah. Okay. Cam?
I think I'm still in favour of the prediction, but I think he will go. I think he's had 2 seasons in the Championship, and I think it was no secret even when he signed. We kind of knew he wasn't going to be here long term. We were here to develop him, and he was going to move on to the top. I still think a move to a top flight team is on the cards. Which team? I don't know. It's a long summer. I'm sure more and more teams will get linked. That'll include probably Bundesliga sides, La Liga sides. I'd love him to stay. I'd love him to stay because on his day, there is no one better. I think he's fantastic. But I think if the right offer comes, he's going to go because I do think he has outgrown the Championship.
Okay, so if he does go then, Cam, we're going to need 2 right backs, aren't we? Because we can't rely on Lati playing at right back. We're going to need 2 actual right backs, aren't we?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Glenn, would you agree with that?
Yeah, that was the suggestion that I heard, was we would possibly go and get a Kessler Hayden or someone of that ilk, and then it would be like a Richard Elise or the other lad, I think it's Copra at Palace, is kind of the young understudies. Okay. If obviously Milan went. So yeah, that I agree with that. That would be my logic. You get one who's Championship proven and someone who's going to develop, and you can blood and give him a game here and game out there.
Okay, fair enough. Right, so we'll go to you first, Glenn, because I still can't think about who it is. So I want to know who this right back is that I'm not going to agree with.
It is Brooke Norton-Coffey.
Not a chance.
Hey, I knew that'd be the reaction. You go back and watch the highlights of his performances for England under 21s in the Euros. He has turned from he's bulked up. He's done a Vic. Remember how Vic went from that season where he first came to us to then the season after? He's bulked up. He looks powerful. He looks pacey. He's doing it against some of the best teams. He transformed the game against Germany when he came on as sub. He played against Spain. He was really, really good. They played him a bit higher as a right winger. He just looks a different player to me. He looks like he's got that confidence and belief that he didn't have when he was at us. And I just think he's ideal for what we want. We want someone who's going to drive with the ball forward, and he's the nearest thing to Milan. And yeah, I think if Milan goes, I'd take him in. There's two players from the England under-21 side who stood out like a sore thumb for me. One of them is a centre half, who we'll talk about later. But Norton Cuffy, I would be amazed if he's not back in England this season. Someone will take him. An English club will take him back. He was different level. And I think they play. Is it tonight they play, Cam? Holland, or was it Wednesday? It's one of the two. They play again. So, but he looks like he's grown up to me, and I was really, really impressed with him. Right,
Cam, on to your next one, because I'm not going to discuss that. I'm not discussing Norton Cuffy. Look, don't get me wrong. He did show spells of, absolute brilliance. And if he has changed that much, then I will hold my hands up and I will say, if he does come, I will say that I was wrong. I don't see it because I didn't see it last season when he played for, I think it was Millwall. I didn't see anything really. So for me, that one I would stay away from wholeheartedly. Cam, your first one, please. Let me get over this nightmare.
Okay. The first right back is Brian Reynolds from Westerlo, not to confuse him with Ryan Reynolds. Brian Reynolds, he spent the last three seasons in the Belgian Pro League with Westerlo. He is ex-Roma. He was part of the Roma team, but went on to win the Conference League under Jose Mourinho. He didn't make the Roma team long term, so he left to go to Westerlo. He's been very impressive. This season's been his most impressive yet, as Westerlo almost made Europe again. And he's also been capped 7 times by the USA, so potentially it's an option where, obviously, if Milan goes, he comes in as the number 1 right back, and a good season with Coventry could be what gets him back into the US team.
Okay, fair enough. Glenn, have you heard of him?
Not a name that I've heard of, but yeah, there is definitely some gems in the Belgium league. Definitely looking at them. There's a couple of good right backs that I've seen over in the Belgium. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't be averse to him.
Excellent, fantastic. Thank you very much. My first one, I'm going to do my free transfer first. And he has just left Middlesbrough, and I like this player a lot. And I think he could be either a really good backup, or he could probably be the number 1. And that's Dyke Steele. I think he gives you power, pace. Don't you dare shake your head when you've just said Norton Cuffy. Don't you dare, Glenn. Dyke Steele, I think he offers everything. I think he offers pace, power, and he's been in the Championship for a long time with Middlesbrough. And I think you can do. I think he just ran his course at Middlesbrough, that they ran his contract down. He's still only 28. I think he's still got a lot to offer. So Dyke Steele. Cam, what do you think about Dyke Steele?
I'd take him as a backup right back on a free. I can't complain. Knows the league, and say for number 1 right back, had an extended period out, I wouldn't be too concerned if he had to play a good long run of games. He's a good player.
Okay. Glenn?
Norton Cuffy is way better.
Oh, God. You're only saying that because you mentioned Norton Cuffy. He isn't way better. No, he isn't way better.
I would not. I would go and ask people from the Borough Breakdown their thoughts on Dyke Steele, and I think they're glad to see the back of him. I don't think he's that good.
I could go to Swansea fans and say, how good was Vic?
But yeah,
it's people's opinion. I think he's a good player.
I disagree.
Right. Okay. Glenn, your second. Cam, your second one, mate. Oh, actually, have you done your first? Yes, you did. Yeah. Sorry, your first one, Cam.
My second right back would be Ki-Jana whoever. He spent last season on loan at Auxerre in France. They had a solid mid-table finish, which was really impressive for a newly promoted side. I thought he did well. He maybe blew hot and cold, but he done quite well in France. 2 seasons before then, he had 2 different loan spells at Stoke City, absolutely brilliant in the Championship. And I think it's a case where, say if Wolves wanted Milan Van Ewijk, if they needed a new right back, maybe we could talk to Wolves and say, okay, you've got Milan Van Ewijk. He's not really in your plans, but he's already a really good Championship level right back. How much would you want for Kijani, however, and we'll use some of the Van Ewijk money to bring him in?
Nice. Like it. Okay. I haven't heard of him, to be fair. Glenn, have you heard of him? What do you think?
Yeah, you'd remember him. He scored the 4th goal for Stoke when they beat us 4-0 at the CBS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where he kind of waltzed through and, yeah, definitely. Which is ironically because my next pick is also at Wolves.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
go on then. Who's your next pick then, Glenn?
His name is Dexter Limbrisco, who is a Jamaican international. So he can play right back, he can play wing back. I think he's played centre half. He's been at Wolves for quite a few years. He was on loan at Rotherham. He's been on loan at Hearts as well. So yeah, he's got around a bit. But yeah, international. Obviously, Lati will know him. And yeah, like Cameron said, maybe if we sold Milan to Wolves, we could do a deal where we got him and Hoover, because Hoover can also play a bit higher, like in a front three. He's played as like a right midfielder. So yeah, that would be somebody who I would look at. And yeah, and I think Wolves will probably look to offload some of their fringe players. And some of the fringe players are normally pretty decent.
Yeah, nice.
Past experience.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm going to do my loan signing next then. My loan signing is going to be Matthew Henderson Hall from Man City under-21s. He's 18 years of age. He's scored 3 goals in 13 games for the under-21s. And he can play all the right-sided positions. So he can play right centre-back, right back and right midfield as well. So there's that option as well for a right back. Have you heard of him, Glenn? How do you feel about Matthew Henderson Hall?
That's not a name that I've heard of, but yeah, if you look at Man City's academy loans, a lot of them are very good and decent. And we only got to look at Callum Doyle. Yeah, Wilson Esbran was a bit hit and miss, but he showed moments of the quality. And if he'd been fully fit, I think we would have seen a different player. And yeah, but I think
so would Norton Cuffy.
Okay. Here we go.
Sorry.
That's right. Yeah,
Cam,
definitely.
Cam, what do you think to Matthew Henderson Hall? Have you heard of him?
I think that's the first player in this video that I've not heard of. But I'll keep an open mind. If he's at Man City, he's got something about him, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Glenn, your third and last right back, please.
It's another I've got to toss up by 2. One is one who kind of plays as a right back, but he also plays as a midfielder. So his name is Ethan Galbraith, who has been at Leyton Orient. He was at Man United, but he played obviously a bit as a right back for them. He's Northern Ireland international, but I think you're looking at allegedly Huddersfield a bid around 2.5 million for him. So I think he's probably more than I'd want to be paying for someone who I'm not quite sure about whether they're championship level to start. So my backup is a total left field one, but purely just looking at his stats again, we're crazy. There's a lad who plays right wing back for Southend United, Gus Scott Morris, who was at Southampton as a kid. He has scored last season 17 goals and 5 assists. And From right back.
Wow.
And he scored, I think it was 8 goals in his first 10 games for Southend, but really good. Played against Charlton in the FA Cup and did really well from reports I've read. He's obviously 28, so he would be someone like a bit of a late starter, but he would maybe, if we kept Milan, he would be someone I'd maybe look at and we could develop for a... Southend have got money trouble. I think maybe someone we could develop and maybe flip for a decent profit, or he could obviously come in and be like a late starter. So that would be my 2. I would probably go more the Southend lad purely because I think Galbraith you're going to get in a bidding war, and I don't want to be paying that amount of money for a player who's not really played Championship football.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm going to go for my third one. It is the payment one. It is the money one. They've just been relegated. He plays at Cardiff, and it's Perry NG. He can play anywhere along the back line, left back, centre back. Don't you dare again, Glenn. He can play, and he is 28, but I think he can be a good backup to any of the positions. A little bit like Latibo Dier, really, where he can play anywhere along that back line. Again, I know he's been relegated, but we picked up Jack Rudoni that was relegated at Huddersfield, and he ended up being our best player last year. So Perry NG is my third and last. You're shaking your head, Glenn. Let's hear the reasons why.
I'm shaking my head because I picked him. He was in my centre halves for the next.
Oh, really?
Next one. Yeah, so I was like, damn, I didn't think anyone.
Sorry.
That's all right. I'll have to go. At least I've got a good job. I picked a couple of extras, but no, I agree. Somebody utility player, decent. Cardiff probably a bit of a mess. You know what you're going to get. I think he takes a good free kick as well from memory. But I wouldn't be adverse to him. And yeah, I don't think because the relegated sides necessarily you're buying poor talent.
Totally agree, Cam.
Yeah, Perry NG, someone who I've rated since he's joined Cardiff and Crewe. Very dependable, very consistent. I think it'd be a really good pickup for us. Like you say, utility. He can play in multiple roles, so it would be like Lati in that respect. So yeah, if you can add a bit of versatility, then you obviously go for it.
Definitely. Right. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining me. Obviously, we were discussing the goalkeepers and the fullbacks. So our next one is going to be on the centre-backs. We are going to record it pretty much straight after this one, so there might be a little bit of crossover talk in between that as well. So just remember where you can find us, guys. We are available on X or Twitter, YouTube. Please go and like and subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We are available on podcasts as well. We are sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications. We're partnered with the Antidote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena and the Sky Blue Tavern here in the Coventry City Centre. And we're in association with Sports Social Network and also Coventry Ladies as well. So please go like and subscribe. Please go and rate us 5 stars. And thank you very much for listening, and hope to see you listen on the next podcast. Thank you very much.